Your brand new iPhone deserves the best protection, and the iLune 3-pack screen protector plus 3-pack camera lens protector has you covered. Don't take risks with your iPhone. Click the link in the video description to shop now on Amazon.
What we've got here is a fascinating story about Niccolo Machiavelli, the infamous 16th century philosopher and diplomat who's often misunderstood by popular culture. For centuries, his book, The Prince, has been viewed as a how-to manual for tyrants, but Erica Benner, a political philosopher, disagrees. She says that The Prince is actually a veiled critique of authoritarian power, written in a satirical tone to expose the dangers of inequality and partisanship. And what's interesting is that Benner also argues that Machiavelli was a Republican at heart, believing in representative government. In fact, his book, Discourses on Livy, espouses this idea. So, what are we missing in Machiavelli's work? Well, it seems that many people focus on the provocative quotes and forget to look for the criticisms. But if you read between the lines, you'll see that Machiavelli is actually exposing a lot of the issues that plague our politics today. Take Chapter 9 of The Prince, where he talks about how leaders rise to power and how they face resistance. He says that people might be passive at first, but when they see you attacking the courts and magistrates, that's when you've got to decide if you're going to get tough or find other ways to soften things up. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Machiavelli would put Trump in a category he calls Prince of Fortune, someone who relies on wealth and big impressions to get ahead. But he'd also call him astucia, calculating shrewdness. And that's something that Trump has in abundance. But here's the thing. Machiavelli never endorses cruelty for its own sake. He says that it will only lead to pure hate and will never get you anywhere in the long term. So, when we look at Trump's presidency and say he's being Machiavellian, let's not forget this crucial distinction. Now, what about the idea that we need someone to smash up the system in order to save it? Well, Machiavelli does say that politics requires flexibility and practical ruthlessness to preserve the republic. But there's a difference between that and blindly following Trump's lead. In fact, Machiavelli would say that if you reach a point where the system seems to have failed, you've got to reform institutions and add new ones. He was all about shortening long offices and creating emergency institutions with special powers for executive action. And he believed in strict oversight, so leaders couldn't abuse their power. So, what can we learn from Machiavelli? Well, for starters, he was a master of politics. He knew how to manipulate, how to calculate risks, and how to build coalitions. But more importantly, he was a deeply Republican thinker who believed in shared power and representation. In the end, it's time to rethink our assumptions about Machiavelli and his work. He wasn't just a philosopher of tyranny. He was a complex thinker who had some pretty radical ideas about politics and human nature. And if we listen closely, we might just find that he has something valuable to teach us today.